Hi, and welcome to this installment of Bergeron Briefs. If you haven't seen the show before, my name is Arthur Bergeron. I do elder law. I'm an attorney for a firm called Myrick O'Connell. There are 60 of us. I do nothing but this. I use Bergeron Briefs to kind of supplement a lot of the seminars that I do in this area because I realize that as an elder, often what you really need to know is not the programs, but the people. You need to know the people to understand the many services that are available, and one of those people is Alicia Rego, who has been kind enough to join us today. So Alicia, you're working for my friend Christine Alessandro.
I am.
At Baypath Elder Services.
Yes.
That's very exciting. And Christine has been on the show a little while ago, but just can you talk to us briefly about, well, first of all, kind of who are you? How did you end up here? Are you from far away? Are you from around here? How did you end up at Baypath? And then we'll talk a little bit about Baypath.
Yeah, I actually am from the area. I grew up in Marlboro. I ended up at Baypath about 4 years ago after I finished my psychology degree.
Yeah.
And I'm now the Caregiver Specialist at Baypath, so I work with caregivers of elders in the community.
And let's talk a little bit about Baypath. So what is Baypath Elder Services? Everybody knows what the Council on Aging is. Everybody knows who their doctor is. There's this thing, Baypath, and people get like, what?
Yeah,
Baypath
has many different programs, almost more than I can remember, but their main purpose is keeping elders at home with some home care agencies and putting in services that might be needed, such as cleaning, laundry, shopping, bathing and dressing, meals on wheels.
But you're not a private, you're not selling services. They're mostly funded by the state and the federal government,
yes,
is that right?
Yes, yep, and we contract with outside agencies to find these workers.
And I always tell people it's kind of like your tax dollars at work. So I said, you know,
Sure.
you should like Baypath Service,
Right,
Baypath Elder
right.
Services,
Yep.
right? So that's a little bit about Baypath. Tell me about what you do. What do you do?
As the Caregiver Specialist, I work with caregivers of elders. They don't necessarily have to be a Baypath client. I service the 14 towns that Baypath services in this area.
Including Northborough.
Yes, including Northborough. And I basically run a support program. I'm available for support for caregivers as well as guidance, so information, resources, sort of where to start or where to end.
So if
all the way.
I'm a caregiver, let's start from that. If who do you define as a caregiver? Could this be a young person as well as an old person who is caring for an older person?
Yep, right now our sort of guidelines is an adult caring for someone 60 years of age or older.
I see.
Yes.
So that doesn't have to be caring for someone who has dementia or who has a particular physical ailment. It can be anything.
Anyone. And we also service any adult caring for anyone, any age with Alzheimer's.
I see.
So there's sort of two aspects.
So they can even be, even if the Alzheimer's person is under 60?
Very young, yes. Yep.
I get it. So can we just kind of talk about that? First of all, you cover all 14 towns?
Yes.
So you must stay in the office. You don't have time to go visit a lot of people, do you?
I do visit, yes. I prefer face-to-face visits. I always say when I get someone on the phone, can I come out and see you, even if it's just to meet you? And if not, we can chat on the phone. Or if, sometimes the caregivers live outside.
That's very old-fashioned. I do that with clients, and people
do you?
You really want to see me?
I do.
You know, it's not like an email. It's not like, but it's true. It's that way you can get kind of a sense of things.
Yeah,
you know?
I like that.
Yeah.
That's where I like to give my support.
Yep.
But I actually work with caregivers outside of the 14 towns, but the care recipient, the person they're caring for, has to live inside the 14 towns.
Inside of one of these towns.
Yes.
So when you go out to see them, can you just talk about that? Talk about kind of what that, if I were a caregiver and I had any kind of problem, right, and I called Baypath, would they start off by saying, we'll talk to Alicia and she's going to figure this out?
Yeah, if it's beyond, our information and referral department can make referrals or refer you as a caregiver to different things. If you're just looking for an elder law attorney or an adult day health, we have those lists on the website. We have those lists in the office. But if you're looking for a little more guidance and a little more one-on-one help with that, along with some support, then that's where I come in.
I see. So you go out and are you usually going to the home of the person who needs the care?
of the caregiver.
Of the home of the caregiver.
Yeah, I try to keep it separate. Usually a lot of times it's easier for the caregiver to talk when they're not around the care recipient.
Although oftentimes they must be in the same house.
Right.
A lot of times it must be a spouse, right, or a child.
I have spouses, children, even sisters, brothers. Yeah.
So
they're living.
All kinds of folks, right? Because that's the thing about this work, right? Is that you're dealing with real families,
right?
And therefore there's like infinite variety, right?
Yes, and many family dynamics too. I have a lot of siblings who say we just can't decide or we can't agree, and I've done not so much family mediation, but sort of there to let everybody know of the resources that are available.
And well, let's use that as an example. So, can you think about recent cases? Think about situations where there's been a real issue with the dynamics among the kids, and talk to us about kind of what resources were there in order to deal with that problem.
Sure. I actually did just recently have somebody I saw that had a son and a daughter, another daughter who was not involved. So I worked with one son and one daughter.
And they were both from around here?
They were both around here.
And the parent was here also?
Yes.
And was either the son or the daughter living with the parent?
They were not.
And the parent was home alone, or
The parent was home. The care recipient lived alone in an apartment, but had Baypath services. So we had, I think, a personal care worker going in a couple times a week to see them.
So by the way, you can be in an apartment as well as being in a home and still be eligible for Baypath services?
Absolutely. Okay. Yep. So this daughter, particularly, actually just really needed support, needed someone to talk to and say, this is hard, this is not easy, and I'm frustrated and I feel so terrible saying it out loud. And that's sort of where I love to come in, because it's okay to feel that way. It's okay to say I'm upset or I'm frustrated, and it's okay to get help. Support from other avenues.
And in this situation, you said you had a son and a daughter.
Yes, so
was this often in my cases? I always say, typically in a family there's the designated daughter. It's typically never the son. I mean, occasionally you get a son who's useful. Usually they're not. It's the daughter who's doing all this work.
A lot.
So in this situation, it's kind of embarrassing to say it, right? Because I remember my mother went through this, so I kind of that's how I started getting involved in all of this. I remember watching that. It was my sisters that were really doing it. Unfortunately, there were a lot of kids, and they were around here, so it was easier.
Right.
So in this situation, what was the situation between the son and the daughter?
Yeah, the daughter definitely was the main caregiver.
Yeah.
She was driving. She lived about 20 minutes from her mom, driving daily to go check in on her or do things. The son, who lived about the same amount of time away, he just strictly did the finances. So he needed me moored for that aspect and say, where should I go with this? How do I get her on Mass Health? Or, and of course I can't really fill out the Mass Health application for anybody or anything like that, but I can guide them to an elder law attorney or guide them to the right resource.
To somebody.
Exactly. So
I see.
There's definitely different parts of what I do.
And in that situation, how was the relationship between the son and the daughter? Were they appreciating each other's roles?
It was
Were
difficult.
they punching each other out?
It was difficult. Yeah, the son, I think, was
punching out the sister?
No, he was set back and very calm, and this is what I do and this is all I can do. The daughter said, nobody's helping, what do I do in that situation? He's only helping with this. But again, sometimes a daughter or a caregiver who's doing everything might not accept the help as easy, as well, because they think that they do it the best. And if somebody else takes over, it's not going to get done the right way, or things aren't going to get done. So it's nerve-wracking.
So there might even really be a hesitant about even taking a suggestion of maybe you need more care at home, maybe you need some other caregivers who are coming in, and that's really common.
Yeah, I think that's a hurdle that a lot of people have to try to get over, which there I am to say, it's okay. You need time for yourself, because it's very important.
It's your mother, though, it's like,
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So what can one of the things we were talking about before the show was this whole notion also of supporting for the caregivers themselves, right? Helping the caregivers kind of be better caregivers and stuff. What can you do to help them?
Yeah, so when I work with a caregiver, we actually sort of develop an action plan. I ask, what do you like to do for yourself? And a lot of people laugh and say, when do I have time to do things for myself? You know, so we really come up with things that they like to do just for themselves, even if they can't leave the house and it's reading or just walking around the block, something like that. And then the next step, of course, how do we get you that time for yourself? Whether it be through Baypath, some services in home, adult day health programs that can give them some time away.
So let's just talk through Baypath. What could Baypath do to give this caregiver some more time? Yeah,
we work with our outside agencies that can come into the home, even if it's just a companion, to sit with the care recipient for an amount of time and let the caregiver be able to get out and do whatever they need to do.
So it isn't necessarily in that case that the person who's being cared for really needs something, needs to get dressed or needs the meal prepared, but just that it just gives the caregiver a break just to get them out.
Sometimes, yeah.
Boy, that's it. And tell me about day programs. What are those?
Adult day health programs. There's a couple scattered around this area, and you can actually.
And what is it? What is an adult day health program?
They are programs during the day for elders. A lot of them, some of them have different guidelines for their programs, but it's just an activities day program, so they can attend. Some of them offer transportation to and from. They can attend for the day, and I believe it's an 8-hour span.
I see.
And they get lunch and snacks and activities and just socialization.
And are these programs that you would go to every day? Or could you just do like one day a week or whatever?
You have that option. Yeah, I know a lot of people that just do one day or two and up to 5.
I see. And I would suppose through Baypath, you can, because you're the funnel for any of the federal or state money, you can also help them figure out if they can get any of this paid for.
Yes, through Baypath, if you became a Baypath client and didn't want the in-home help, you could opt to, we could pay for 1 day to 2 days, depending on what program you're on, of adult day health with the programs we contract with.
I see.
Yes.
Now, oftentimes when I'm talking to folks, they'll say, well, I'm really not eligible for anything. I've got way too much in assets, right? I've got a house, I got whatever, right?
Yep.
Are the programs that you're talking about all asset based, so that people really can't qualify unless they've given away all their assets or they're totally broke or whatever?
Nope, that's more of a mass health, I think, thing where they look at assets. We don't look at assets at all. We look at your annual income, and from there we can develop we have a sliding scale co-payment.
I see.
So depending on how much you make per year, or as a couple, your household income.
So from your experience, because you're dealing with a lot of people, right? From your experience, broadly, what percentage of people do you talk to who it turns out can't qualify for any of your programs because they're making too much money?
Not very much, and that's not to say they're out there, but probably
less than 20%.
Probably 25%.
Really, really.
Yeah.
So 75% of the people that you talk to, and you're talking to people across a whole range, right?
Right.
All in this area,
right,
are qualifying for some of these programs.
But that's also not to say that that's because 75% are low income.
Right.
It's just I don't hear from a lot of people.
Yeah.
And even if
you don't have to be low income. I guess that's what you're really saying.
Right. Even if you meet 100% of the co-payment, you can still be a Baypath client and have the case management portion. So a case manager to sort of be that intermediary between the programs and explain all of these programs and help you get some services.
And so do you folks actually provide that kind of case management? You're not contracting that out. You're actually doing the case management.
Yeah, we have about, how many now? About 15 case managers, maybe even more, that are working with caseloads from about 75 to 100 clients each.
Wow. Yeah. And I would suppose one of the advantages of that is they're always talking to each other, right?
Absolutely.
So that the total amount of experience that you have in that office in terms of the numbers of situations you've seen is gigantic, right?
Yep.
So from your perspective, you've been here for quite a few years, right? And you've
Yes.
done a lot of this stuff. What's missing? What's missing? When you see these situations, what are the times that you say, I wish we could do something here, I wish we could do more, but we don't have X. What
I
is
think
that?
the biggest frustration for case managers and myself and other people in our field is that we're capped at our budget by the state and the government.
A common problem
We
among
need more
all
money,
businesses,
right?
Right.
So a lot of people say, 3 hours isn't enough a week, or
In terms of the number of hours of care that you can
services.
pay for, I see.
But we
I
do
see.
have a budget for each client, depending on the program that they're on. And we have to stick to that budget per month, so we can only
Right.
do so much for services. And when it's not enough, or when we can't do more, we care. We really want to, and it gets frustrating.
So would you say, in terms of kind of where you are right now, that all of the necessary services are there, but the question is, some people simply need more of them? Or would you say
Yes.
you don't think there are any missing services, that if you were saying to yourself, in the best of all worlds, given this population, here's how services for elders should be growing. Here's a kind of a new thing. I was just wondering, just 'cause you're there all the time.
Actually, that's a good question. In one of our programs at
Yeah.
Baypath, and I don't want to confuse everybody,
Yeah.
but
One of the many
one
programs.
of the
Well, you told me
programs-
before, you said, don't ask me to list the programs, I'll freeze up.
I will.
There's too many programs.
There's
right?
a lot, and we're growing so much at
Right.
Baypath as an agency.
And inevitably, every program's got some acronym. It's got the
Yes.
ABC, the
Yes.
C, D, F. It's and I find myself the same thing, just getting lost with these programs.
Yes.
I'm always embarrassed as the elder law person when I don't know
What
these.
does that
right?
mean?
What does
Right.
it mean? Yeah, exactly.
So the one program I'm thinking of, the ECOP program, the Enhanced Community Options Program.
The Enhanced Community Options Program.
yeah.
I was just doing a presentation, and I said, I'm embarrassed that I don't remember what this stands for.
Oh,
I just
yeah?
said ECOP, and I was going through, yeah.
That's what it is.
Enhanced Community Options. So
That's
what
a
does-
higher service program that you can be found eligible by a nurse if you're have certain needs, and the income levels are in the guidelines.
Yeah.
So anyways, in that program, we have something called person-centered, and we can use the budget money for each client for non-traditional services. So we don't necessarily have to use them for cleaning, laundry, shopping, those typical services.
So give me an example. Yeah, what's a
So
non-traditional?
we've actually had, this is very non-traditional, we've actually had a client really want pet therapy. We found a pet therapy company to bring pets in, and it helps with his quality of life. So that's really what we're looking
This
at.
sounds like it's going to be my wife eventually. Was it a dog?
It was a dog.
When I
Yes.
go, I know there's going to be
She
a
needs
dog
a
to
dog.
replace me. Yeah, that's just kind of, right.
Yeah, so that was very non-traditional.
I'm going to have a cat.
Yeah.
I always identify with cats because we agree we don't like the dog, right?
Ah.
My wife loves the dog. But everybody's got, right? Somebody's got.
Yep.
So you were able to have them bring it because I would imagine that person really may not have been able to actually own and care for their own animal.
Right.
So you had kind of a rented
We got to
rented
use
dog.
some of our monies for that particular client for this type of service, which was great. A little bit on a different line is in that program, some of the workers can take the client out, whereas in the regular Baypath program, home care program, they aren't allowed to take them out. It's one of our guidelines for safety and all of that.
Yep.
In the program for quality of life, if they want to go to the park or they want to go somewhere like that, we can pay a little bit extra out of their money and
that's
have
great.
somebody. So
That's
that
great.
is something I would love to incorporate in all of the programs and be able to use.
And that leads me to a question. So to be eligible for these programs, do you have to be homebound?
No, you do not. You do need to have about 6 needs. So that's not necessarily what you need somebody to come in and help you with, but
Yeah.
if somebody's already helping you with your meal preparation or your laundry or cleaning.
And is there like a fixed set of needs from which you kind of have to check off 6 in order for you to be qualified?
Yes.
And are those, whenever I hear about those lists of needs, I always hear about the activities of daily living. So it's, see if I can remember, so it's dressing, eating, bathing, toileting, and transferring.
Yes.
And transferring is getting up out of the chair, walking across the room, and sitting down.
Right.
But are there other needs that you might have which would then qualify you for programs? Because many people listening might say, well, geez, I can do those things, right? It's just I can't accept that, I really, I'm mostly in a wheelchair. I really can't be fixing a meal. I can't be doing this.
Right, yeah, and they can be the independent activity of daily livings checklists, and that can be grocery shopping, transportation, meals, laundry, cleaning.
Meals meaning preparing meals.
Preparing meals, yep, laundry, cleaning, and medication management, money management is one of them as well.
Oh, and money management too?
That is a need, yes.
Wow, that's a pretty broad list.
It is, yeah. So a lot of people fall into, our guidelines.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Well, it could be me. I think I could use some help
Oh, yeah.
with some of that. So you talked about the fact at the beginning that when people call, it may be that they just need some referrals to some stuff, and
Yes.
and you're the kind of one-stop shop in terms of figuring out referrals. We were also kind of talking about this caregiver something. There's a website that you have.
There is, yes.
Tell us about that.
Yep, the website is caregivingmetrowest.org.
And it's all one word,
All one word.
caregivingmetrowest.org.
Yes.
And by the way, we'll ask the cable folks here to do a banner
Yes.
on
great.
this show so that people can see that name. So that is there a phone number as well as an email address? I still have clients that don't do email. Right?
There is. I actually am on that website as well.
Okay.
If you have questions, to call me. We have a program manager. His name is Doug Flynn, that runs the website, and he can answer questions as well.
So tell us about the website.
So the website actually services 25 towns, Metro West area. We're
All
funded,
of yours plus some?
Yes.
All 14 of yours plus some?
Plus some,
Yep.
because we're funded mostly by the Metro West Health Foundation. And I have my little notes here. There is a clickable map, which is a great feature. You can go and find Northborough, click on Northborough, and find loads of resources in Northborough.
For example?
For example,
what kinds of lists would you expect?
I wrote them down. Let's see. So senior center information, there's veterans information, there's food pantries, groceries that deliver, laundry pickups, support groups in the area, transportation for that area.
Elder lawyers.
Elder law attorneys.
Can't forget that.
Yes.
So it's really a huge variety.
Yes.
And I mention that because I think the addition of that website has been so important, because you got people who hesitate about calling, or the question comes up and it's not 9 to 5, and you want to be able to get this information.
Absolutely.
And I love the website because I could click to Northborough. I could just say, I don't want to know all of the things that are available in Ashland, because if I'm in Northborough, that's 1,000 miles away.
Right.
But to really kind of know that it's local is
Or you can click around Northborough, the towns around, if you're looking for something that might be close but out of town.
Right.
And I think that one of the other great things about the site is there's a lot of information, but sometimes that can be overwhelming. And we have something called the Caregiver Concierge. And if you'd find that right on the main page of the site, I believe. And there's 6 questions, and it goes through what towns you live in, what are some services you're looking for, what is the age, and it brings up a whole list of pages that you might benefit from visiting. So it makes it a little easier.
That's great. And I would think it's really helpful too. Once again, going back to your case of there was a son and a daughter around here, but then there's one that's far away.
Yep.
So if you're the daughter in California and Ma's still in Northborough, and you're like, oh, what do I do?
What's around?
And you're certainly not looking at the yellow pages, So to be able to kind of really focus you, it's a wonderful tool.
Yeah.
It's a great tool.
There's a lot available for people to find.
So it sounds like you like what you do.
I do.
This is very exciting.
I do.
Thank you. I hope that this has given you a sense of, first of all, that probably one of your first calls, if you've got any questions about any senior issue, whether you're a senior or not, is probably to her. You may very well get her, but at the very least to Baypath Elder Services. As I mentioned, these are your tax dollars at work. They're doing things that are free for you. They're just helping you kind of figure out stuff. I really want to thank Alicia for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next installment of Bergeron Briefs. Thank you very much.